It is a long-standing tradition at Roncalli for a senior to reflect on their time here before the senior mass. To continue this tradition, please welcome Senior Aaron Sweyoung.
Hello, Royals. I'm honored to give the 2023 Senior Reflection before Senior Mass. Before I begin, I'd like to give a huge thanks to all our teachers, counselors, custodians, cafeteria staff, IT department, and every other faculty and staff member who run the day-to-day operations of our school. As a student of Roncalli for 4 years, there are certain things about this school I'm going to miss dearly, like our school plays, football games, assemblies, the random freshmen that stand in the middle of the hallways, being able to cut in front of the lunch line when it's Asian bar day, and even the way Principal Bonich looks at me when I wear a shirt that says Roncalli Rebels. Honestly, looking back on all these moments reminds me of how much I'll miss going to Roncalli. But as the class of 2023 leaves, I would like to share some of the most important lessons I've learned in my 4 years here. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude towards all the incredible people I've met while at Roncalli. I remember one day during my junior year, I was pulled out of class along with a number of other juniors to have a meeting with a representative of the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. This representative was doing an accreditation visit for Roncalli and examining how Roncalli had impacted the lives of its students, both academically and spiritually. One big question this representative asked my group was what makes Roncalli different from every other high school in Indiana, which is a question I think we've all been asked hundreds of times before. Ever since middle school, Catholic principals have been asking their students, why do you love your Catholic school? This time, when I was asked this question years later in high school, my mind first drew a blank. But one other student in my group said what makes Roncalli special is its people, and I couldn't agree more. What makes Roncalli different from every other high school isn't our new gymnasium or high cost of tuition, but what makes Roncalli special is its people. And I can attest throughout my 4 years at Roncalli that every teacher and student I have met has shaped me into the person I am today and showed me God's presence in my life. I mean, the class of 2023 has had many amazing people who have achieved great new heights in academics, sports, and the arts. Academically, we've had twice as many salutatorians as the class before us, which basically means we are 200% smarter than every other senior class. When it comes to athletics, I could honestly stand here all day and list the names of many incredible seniors like Wrestler of the Year Bryce Lowry, Mr. Football finalist Luke Hansen, Girls Athlete of the Year Keegan Rothrock, or even Ricky Roman, who scored a hat trick this year. But I won't keep going on. I do know that all our senior athletes have been amazing this year. I also want to talk about our fine arts and give a huge shout out to our show choir who made it to state this year. And especially praise all our talented singers and dancers. When talking about service hours, our school has done a total of 46,000 hours of service, which roughly equates to over $1 million worth of help to food pantries, homeless shelters, and other service organizations. Simply put, we've had many accomplishments that no other classes before us have been able to achieve due to our many outstanding students. These same students have inspired me and many others to try and be as great as them too. Personally, I want to thank many of my fellow classmates who have shown me God's love through our relationships. This has been a great year of spiritual growth for me personally. Speaking for myself, I've never doubted God's existence. But before this year, I questioned if I could feel His love. The reason I doubted God's love, but not His presence, was because, like many people, I see God through nature. I remember reading a famous quote in Mrs. Lamarck's classroom by C.S. Lewis that read, "I believe in Christianity as I believe the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. When I wake up in the morning and hear birds and feel the wind and see the sun rising, I've never doubted for a second that God exists. But knowing of God's existence wasn't the same to me as knowing of His love. I've always understood God was there, but I never really felt like I had a relationship with him. However, through my relationships with other students at Roncalli, and especially those in my senior retreat group, shout out Group W, I learned for the first time what God's love felt like through them. In this room, we all have so many people that care for us. Our parents, our friends, teachers, and coaches. This year, when I realized that I had people like that who care and worry and pray for my success, I finally realized that in the same way God uses the world to show his existence and power, he also uses the people in my life to show me his love. Their love and care for me was a visible sign of his friendship with me, which is one of the greatest lessons I've learned here. I've also found myself at Roncalli looking up to my teachers too, not only learning from them about their own subject matters, but also seeing them as role models of who I want to be after graduating. Although I only have one theology period, I feel like I learn about religion from all my teachers. One memorable lesson about God that has stuck with me was taught by one of my science teachers. Freshman year, when I took biology class with Mr. Hauser, we were learning about molecules that are hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Hydrophobic means an object dislikes water and will repel it, while hydrophilic means an object likes water and is attracted to it. To this day, I remember Mr. Hauser explained these two words of hydrophilic, liking water, and hydrophobic, disliking water. Because right after that, he went on a rant about the words liking and disliking. And this isn't a weird thing that happens in Mr. Hauser's class, where he just starts talking randomly, but I think that day he said something surprisingly profound about God. See, he told us it's funny how we people describe objects as liking or disliking water, when in reality, it doesn't feel anything. He said the reason we say a molecule likes water is because as humans, we understand things as they relate to us. We don't like what we don't know or relate to, and I think that's the same for God. Almost always, we don't know what the future has in store for us, or what God's plan is. I don't always understand everything that happens in my life, but I do understand that God knows what he's doing. And I think that's one of the most important parts of our religion that we need to be reminded of, to have faith. I'm grateful to all my teachers who have taught me lessons like this that may have been unintentional. For me, it's interactions like these that have shaped my faith the strongest. There's so much more to religion than just theological tests and note-taking. I feel like it's in the small, most ordinary conversations I have with people I see every day that I see God the most. The most minuscule and fleeting moments we share, the kindness we receive from others, and the kindness we give back. I'm also proud to say that the class of 2023 has been resilient in the face of adversity. Our freshman year, the pandemic hit, and besides giving us a great topic for our college essays, lots of us quarantined and isolated for the longest periods of our lives. We didn't finish freshman year off normally, and for a great time, it felt like the world was at its lowest point. But they say it's in our lowest moments that we are open to the greatest change. And change we did. We became flexible and adapted from being the first Roncalli class to attend school online to going in mask, until eventually becoming one of the last Roncalli classes to have to be affected by COVID. For a long time, we didn't know if normal was possible, but here we are today. It's kind of sad to know we will be the last class to remember lots of Roncalli history. We'll be the last class to know Mr. Bonich is supposed to be a history teacher, the last class to watch Channel 109 News, the last class to have Papa John's every Wednesday, and the last class to hear Andrew Bergen's name from Stuco on the announcements. To all our underclassmen, enjoy these last few years of high school and make sure to shape yourself into the person you want to be. Be open to meeting new people and hearing their stories. Finally, before we begin Mass, I have one last quote I'd like to share with you all from one of my teachers that they said to me this year. It's one that's been stuck in my head and I think everyone should hear. You are a force. You move through this world quietly, but you make an impact. Move the way you want, be the way you want, but do not underestimate your power. With that being said, let's have a great final Mass. Thank you.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce the co-salutatorian for the class of 2023, Andrew Dial. Oh, you're good. 1 minute. Earning the title of salutatorian signifies exceptional academic achievement and dedication to learning. Andrew's consistent high performance and his commitment to excellence demonstrates not only a strong work ethic, but also a passion for learning and a drive for academic success. Several of Andrew's teachers recognized a singular quality he exhibits. He is a motivated learner who wants to understand material rather than just memorize it. It's less about getting a perfect score than it is about fully comprehending the material. He looks for ways to connect what we talk about in the classroom to his real-world experiences and interactions. And lastly, he consistently strives to ensure that his work does not just meet expectations, but exceeds them. Humble and unassuming, despite his tremendous skill. In addition to Andrew's leadership and academic awards, he has proven to be formidable on the athletic field. He has represented the state champion boys volleyball team as their captain for the past 2 years, and one teacher notes, "It is a blessing to have a student like Andrew that our younger volleyball boys can aspire to." St. John the 23rd wrote, "Do not walk through time without leaving worthy evidence of your passage." Andrew surely has left that evidence through the positive impact he has had on our school community, and will no doubt continue to be a positive force as he moves beyond our halls. In August, Andrew plans to attend Butler University as a direct admit into the Doctor of Pharmacy program. I am honored to present to you the co-salutatorian for the class of 2023, Andrew Joseph Dial.
Beth, the clock is just right underneath them.
Archbishop Thompson, Father Bob, Mr. Weisenbach, Mr. Bonich, faculty, parents, guests, friends, and members of the class of 2023, thank you all for being here today for such a special moment. Additionally, I want to spend a special thank you to my parents for all the sacrifices you have made that have led me to be speaking on this stage today. Thank you so much. Today, I want to talk about failure. Although this may seem contrary to the success we have all accomplished by graduating high school, I believe that failure is the building block for success. We live in a constant pressure of success. No one wants to come up short. Everyone wants to win and succeed. We all want to be the best. However, failure is integral to being successful. Personally, I have failed thousands of times, whether it be academically, athletically, or even spiritually. To this day, I still remember my third grade spelling bee when I spelled the word president wrong with 2 Z's. I'm sure many of us have had similar experiences that we wish to forget. But while I was writing this speech, a quote from a famous baseball pitcher, Christy Mathewson, caught my attention. Mathewson wrote, "You can learn little from victory. You can learn everything from defeat." Mathewson was a 2-time World Series champion, the highest prestige in baseball. He is also the same pitcher to have one of the worst starts to his MLB pitching career, and with an ERA of 5.18 in his first season. Mathewson is an example to all of us of what it means to fail and learn from opposition. He failed, fixed his problems, and became one of the best pitchers in baseball history. I believe we should all strive to do the same thing. Failure is constant with life because we are not perfect. Therefore, we fail in order to understand our mistakes and learn from them to become better and successful people. Although athletics and academics are 2 main areas where we struggle to always be successful, our faith is another example. We are imperfect beings that are inclined to sin due to our free will. However, even when we sin, God still loves us and wants us to join him in paradise. Proverbs 24:16 advises, "The righteous fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked stumble in times of calamity." God knows we are going to sin. He knows we will be tempted. He knows we will make mistakes and poor judgments. However, if there is one thing I've learned from senior retreat, is that God always is with you. He accepts you for who you are as long as you are open to Him. Similarly, retreat showed me that just by being vulnerable, your shortcomings do not feel so embarrassing or humiliating. You are truly accepted for who you are, and this type of love is what makes our relationship with God so remarkable. Therefore, although we stumble in our faith life, we are called to learn and better ourselves for God and others. If my two quotes have not shown you why failure is essential, words of wisdom from a prolific Disney car might help. Lightning McQueen once said to not fear failure. McQueen says this after losing the Piston Cup race. McQueen accepted defeat and uses this setback as a learning opportunity to grow and better himself and eventually win the Piston Cup. Therefore, I want to stress the importance of mistake and defeat. Although we should not be actively looking to be unsuccessful, we should accept the fact that we will fail. And there is always something positive, something so negative. Even when we get ourselves into a pickle, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Therefore, I think it is important to realize everything that we have gained from the trials and tribulations that have occurred during our time at Roncalli. And what better way to demonstrate this from a quote that echoes the hallway of our school? Commit to the productive struggle. I believe we have all committed to this struggle. All of us had something that weighed or slowed us down. However, these obstacles did not stop us from the many accomplishments that make this class so remarkable. D1 athletes, perfect ACT scores, and ISMA band titles, just to name a few. Although we are slowed down and caught up sometimes, it is evident to me and the student body how resilient this class truly is. I encourage everyone to continue to live this way. So class of 2023, it has been an amazing 4 years. However, it is time we begin to travel our different ways and blaze our own trails. I wish you all luck on your future endeavors and all the dreams and goals you wish to accomplishment. Just remember, throughout your life, you will fail, but God is there if you need a support system. Talk to Him and stay close to Him. He will always be there for you to help you be the successful people He envisions and knows we will all be. And as always, commit to the productive struggle.
Now it's my honor to introduce the co-salutatorian for the class of 2023, Max Knightsky. Max has gone out of his way to challenge himself academically, and his achievements are great and varied. He is a National Merit Scholar and an AP Scholar. He has literally reached perfection on multiple parts of both the ACT and SAT. He has attended engineering forums at Rice University and Georgia Tech. He is described by one teacher as one of the most inquisitive thinkers I've taught. He truly enjoys the process of learning and problem solving. Another teacher affirms he is a creative thinker who truly enjoys the process of learning and discovery. Outside the school day, Max earned accolades as a leader on the ultimate Frisbee field, has a black belt and a green belt in 3 different types or styles of martial arts, and spent 4 years as part of the robotics club. In addition to all of these achievements, Max will be remembered as an intelligent, thoughtful, and respectful young man who leads by example and is recognized by one of his teachers as being not only an amazing student, but a kind soul. Next fall, Max will be a first-year engineering student at Purdue University with the intent to study chemical engineering. I am privileged to present to you the co-salutatorian for the class of 2023, Robert Maxwell Knightsky.
Hey friends. Archbishop Thompson, Father Bob, Mr. Weisenbach, Mr. Bonich, faculty, guests, friends, and members of the class of 2023. Thank you for supporting me on my journey through Roncalli. And huge thanks to my parents for allowing me the opportunity to be part of such an outstanding community, and also the custodial staff for letting me into the school at 6 in the morning and unlocking doors for me so I can have my procrastination battle station in the drafting room. I'd like to lead you all through my experience with enthusiasm and both the consequences and rewards from choosing to or not to emphasize enthusiasm in your life. When I first stepped into the doors of Roncalli, I only knew 2 people. I also wasn't very talkative. This combination of not knowing anyone and not daring enough to get to know people led to a pretty lonely lifestyle. Being the big nerd that I am, I remember fighting to understand the infamous freshman Algebra 2 curriculum and pretty much anything Shakespeare, spending almost all of my free time under a blanket, either trying to focus or trying to understand my coursework, and missing key events like football games and musicals. But this all fell apart in March of 2020. Friedrich Nietzsche once said that if you stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back at you. COVID was our class's abyss. Thankfully, we're the last high school class to have been affected by it during our time here. But during the pandemic, my painfully introverted habit bit me hard. Experiencing a true lack of interpersonal connection taught me that maybe I do actually need to be social, more enthusiastic, and not the robot that my introversion and COVID had made me out to be. One quote that motivated me to change was by my little sister, who asked, "When are you going to start being a high schooler?" She reminded me that the high school experience is not just the school part. The real value of high school lies in the connections we make, experiences we have, and the enthusiasm with which we live. And we need to maximize our days to the best of our abilities rather than merely checking the boxes of our daily routine. She also woke me up to the fact best stated by rock singer Zach De La Rocha, who said, "If ignorance is bliss, then knock the smile off my face." It challenges us not merely to float through life, but to live deliberately and purposefully. And I believe we have lived this to our maximum throughout our senior year. Our class of 2023's enthusiasm has been demonstrated in many areas, from people earning credentials early in their desired career within the C9 program, to nationally ranked athletes and teams, to state winners and qualifiers in specialties like architecture and the fine arts. Not to mention our class has completed over 45,000 hours of service at an estimated economic value of over $1.2 million. Watching our class maximize our interests around me to produce tangible results feels empowering because I know that we have applied our skills to the best of our abilities. One of the greatest impacts on me from my Roncalli experience was definitely senior retreat. Within the doghouse, shout out Group I got to discuss the deepest complexities of my understanding of religion and really dive deep into my understanding of myself. I haven't ever seen such a random assortment of people transform into such a close-knit community than during retreat. I guess that's what sharing tears and deep, freestyle religious conversations does to you. Additionally, I saw that the more people opened up to each other and willingly participated, the more productive the conversations became. It is Roncalli's emphasis on our faith that has afforded us the opportunity to develop, but it was the initiative and passion among us that resulted in such a faithful and productive experience. We need to remember, though, that living enthusiastically does have its boundaries. I have ADHD, as many of you may know, and so as I have allowed myself to be more expressive, I have also become much more vocal and talkative. This isn't detrimental up until class starts. Then, my shenanigans and tomfoolery get me in trouble. I've been this way ever since I was little, and my dad delivers the perfect response to me whenever I report any consequences due to my carelessness. He always replies, "What? You're messing around and you got in trouble? You did what you were told not to and something bad happened? You're kidding." Always remember to live your life as vibrantly and passionately as you can, but just make sure not to overstep your boundaries and cause problems. Finally, I'll leave you with this. Run fast like it's your last day on earth, but every once in a while, stop sprinting and look up to make sure you're still running in the right direction. Class of 2023, if God gives you tomorrow, I will see you all then.
Our valedictorian this year is an outstanding young lady who has earned the respect of her teachers and peers alike, not only for her intellectual gifts, but more so for how hard she has worked to develop those gifts and share them with the world. One of her teachers commented, "Two words come to mind when I think of our valedictorian, genuine and generous. She appreciates the gift of intelligence that she's been given and cultivates it in her work ethic and desire to learn more. She willingly assists those who are struggling, sharing those gifts she has been given with anyone who is in need." A different teacher shared this insight. Her grades and scores speak for themselves. However, the most important part of our valedictorian is the person that she is. Look past all the data, the results, and honors, and you will find an awesome person. Outside the classroom, our valedictorian's commitment to serving the community and extracurricular involvement is an impressive testament to her character. During her 4 years, she has completed over hundreds of service hours, with the majority of her service at Servant's Heart of Indy and the Lord's Pantry. In addition to her service, she has competed in our basketball and softball programs for 4 years. In everything she does, she puts her incredible gifts and abilities to good use, bettering herself, her peers, her school, and her community. The daughter of Bruce and Lori Dressman, and a member of St. Barnabas, she will attend Purdue University to study in biochemistry. A young woman who has answered God's call and Roncalli's challenge to develop her many gifts and share them with the world. It is my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian for the class of 2023, Anna Catherine Dressman.
First and foremost, I would like to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to Archbishop Thompson, Father Bob, Mr. Weisenbach, Mr. Bonich, faculty, parents, guests, and friends for your continued support and guidance of the class of 2023. And a special thank you for all of your efforts to make our high school moments memorable and special. To my parents, thank you for your constant support and sacrifice. Although seemingly insignificant, the late-night loads of laundry, forgotten Chromebook drop-offs, and packed lunches are the reasons that I'm able to speak here today. After some toilsome deliberation about the topic of my speech, I knew there was only one thing that could solve my speech writing woes. The ultimate problem of every problem ever, except for relationship problems, the infamous pro-con list. In spite of my original goal to create a pro and con list of the various speech topics I should talk about today, I kind of just ended up creating a list of all the pros and cons of graduating, of leaving high school and moving on. I realized I had never really thought about it before, so that's what I'm here to share with you today, my graduation pros and cons. The first pro of graduating. After high school, I'll have the opportunity to see new places, experience new things, and meet new people. I'm absolutely ecstatic to encounter the new, exciting ventures that await me in the next chapter of my life. Con, in chasing my next adventure, I will no longer be able to dine at one of the finest dining establishments on this side of the Mississippi River, none other than Hong Kong Chinese Takeout on the corner of Southport and Bluff. I'll miss thinking about devouring their chow mein while singing the fight song after cruising to another Circle City Conference title. I'll miss the dinners and smiles at 12 a.m. with friends after dancing with a T-Rex from the Jurassic period at prom. And most of all, I'll miss the family dinners at the end of a long day. In the future, I'll have to settle for another, decidedly lesser Chinese takeout place. Another pro of graduation. No longer will I have to maneuver in and out of a high school parking lot. In my mind, I find driving to school and running away from creepy clowns at a haunted house in October to be eerily similar experiences. The only difference being the use of traffic cones and not chainsaws. After just a few too many close calls this year, I hung a pendant of St. Joan of Arc from my backpack. I figured at least she would help defend me in battle. I would, however, like to congratulate the class of 2023 for setting a new school record. Congratulations on most speed bumps installed in 1 year. Very impressive. Another con of graduation. I'll miss the parking lot soap opera, the drama, the intrigue, the stolen parking spaces, betrayal, forgiveness, the random new character entrances, otherwise known as sophomores getting their license that the original characters all despise because they appear halfway through the season and mess everything up again. One time I clearly remember being so distressed about a stolen parking space that I wrote an entire essay for religion class about forgiving the so-called parking space shark for their unrelenting theft of my parking space. Maybe it was juvenile to write an entire essay about a stolen parking space, but I found that the same principles that apply to the small things often also apply to the big things. Thanks to our wonderful staff and the theology department, I think Roncalli is one of the only places where parking lot drama can be turned into a lesson in forgiveness. Another graduation pro. I don't think, at least for the foreseeable future, I will have to hear another person attempt to play a recorder. For all those that don't know, a new class, Exploratory Instruments, was introduced this year at Roncalli. For all those that do know, I'm sure we all found the recorder unit to be quite memorable. Honestly, I tried to find a downside to the absence of recorder screeches in my life, but all of my efforts were in vain. No amount of musical talent can make one of those things sound good. It's impossible. So instead, I have to offer another graduation con. After graduation, never again will I get to experience the epic highs and lows of high school football. No, I'm not talking about the tenacity of the players or the strategy of the coaches. I'm talking about going crazy to Waka Flocka Flame one moment, and the next thing I know, our speaker privileges, not that we had too many to begin with, had been quickly revoked. That was an epic high and then low of paradise, and then gloomy storm clouds rolled in. Another graduation pro. In my next step, I'll have more freedom. I'll be free to choose where to live, what to buy, and what to eat. I'll be free from lunch days in which hot dog bar was the main item on the menu. I'm sorry, I know I have some strong hot dog bar supporters here today, but chicken fiesta bake is the correct choice. Yet Uncle Ben from Spider-Man taught me that with great power comes great responsibility. I'm sure to have more freedom, but also more responsibility. Moving forward, there'll be less and less people to hold me accountable. The age-old question, do I clean my room or do I watch Shrek 2, the greatest movie of all time, for the third time this week, would be left up to me and not my mother to answer. Unfortunately, I have a strong premonition that we do not have the same correct answer in mind. I'm sure everyone here seated today before me has their own pros and cons about graduating. They may share some similarities, but they most certainly share a few differences. Nevertheless, that's why we're all here gathered today, to celebrate all of our pros and cons together as a Roncalli family. Each and every one of us has experienced our own highs and lows, whether they have anything to do with high school football or not. We have all navigated through the high school parking lot. We have all heard the sound of a recorder. We have all been tempted to watch Shrek 2 for the third time in a week, although that could just be me. But more importantly, we have all grown up together these past 4 years at Roncalli. And ever since, we have become a family. So my final con. In graduating, I'll lose the opportunity to be with my Roncalli family every day. I won't get to cheer in the stands with them at sports games. I won't get to go on retreat with them. And I won't get to sing Lean on Me with them at Mass anymore. But there's always a pro for a con. One of my favorite Disney aliens taught me that family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. After graduation, we may not be together every day. We will always share the bonds that we created together at Roncalli. And I know that if I ever need a helping hand or a friend to reach out to, I won't be forgotten by the class of 23, because they're my family. So that's my message. You did it. You made it through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Celebrate your story, romanticize the moment, and never forget the family that walked with you across that stage. Congratulations to the Roncalli class of 2023.
Congratulations. Well done. Very well done.